The space station marketplace was always alive with voices, colors, and strange smells. Merchants from many worlds called out their offers, machines whirred, and banners in alien languages glowed from every corner. Among the noise and crowd, a human named Ravi walked carefully, carrying a small bag of supplies. He was used to being stared at, because humans were still rare travelers in this part of the galaxy, but he kept his head down and moved politely through the crowd. Ravi liked the marketplace. Every corner was filled with new wonders, fruits that floated in the air before settling on a plate, cloth that shimmered like liquid, and machines that seemed to hum with their own thoughts. He had never been wealthy, so he usually only looked rather than bought. But he enjoyed learning from every stall, asking questions, and watching how different species lived. As he passed a stall of glowing crystals, Ravi felt a small tug at his hand. At first he thought it was a mistake, someone brushing past him in the crowd. But when he looked down, he saw a little alien girl staring up at him. She was delicate, with pale silver skin and wide eyes that shone like glass. Her hand clung tightly to his, as if she had known him for years. The crowd around them fell silent. Conversations stopped, footsteps froze, and merchants leaned forward. Ravi noticed the sudden change, and confusion filled his mind. He tried to speak kindly. "Hello," he said softly. "Are you lost?" The girl blinked at him but did not answer. Instead, she smiled faintly and tightened her hold on his hand. Ravi was careful not to pull away too quickly. He knew enough about alien cultures to understand that gestures often carried deep meaning. He glanced around, hoping to see a parent nearby. Then the silence of the crowd broke, but not in the way Ravi hoped. A figure approached with authority that made the air heavy. Tall, graceful, and dressed in flowing robes that shimmered like starlight, the alien woman strode forward. Her presence made people bow their heads. Ravi could feel the weight of every eye in the marketplace pressing on him. It was the Princess Serena of the Vyuri, one of the most respected and feared rulers in the sector. Her gaze was sharp and unblinking, like a blade made of ice. She stopped in front of Ravi, her silver crown catching the glow of the market lights. Her voice rang clear, carrying both power and anger. "Why is my daughter holding your hand, human?" she asked. The marketplace trembled with whispers. Ravi's heart raced. He looked down at the child again. So this was no ordinary girl, this was Lyra, daughter of the alien princess. The child looked back up at him calmly, still holding his hand without fear. Ravi knew he had to speak carefully. One wrong word could bring disaster. He opened his mouth, but no sound came at first. He forced himself to breathe slowly, then tried again. "Your Highness," he said with as much respect as he could. "I did not mean any offense." She reached for me. "I only silence," Serena snapped. Her eyes narrowed. "A child of my blood does not take the hand of a stranger without reason. Especially not a human." The crowd gasped. Many of the Vyuri looked at Ravi with disgust, others with curiosity. Humans were still seen as reckless wanderers who had not yet earned the respect of the ancient species. For a human to be touched willingly by the princess's daughter was shocking. Ravi's thoughts swirled. He wanted to explain again, but he could see that Serena's glare was not one that welcomed excuses. Instead, he lowered his head, showing respect. "I only wish to keep her safe," he said quietly. Lyra tugged his hand again, drawing everyone's attention. She looked up at her mother and spoke in a soft, steady voice. "He is kind." The words were simple, but they carried a strange weight. The crowd murmured. Ravi felt Serina's piercing eyes study him with even more intensity. The silence grew heavy again. Guards stepped forward, their armor gleaming, their weapons ready. Ravi knew what was coming before Serina even spoke. "Bring him to the court," she ordered coldly. The guards surrounded him. Ravi did not resist, though fear burned in his chest. He walked carefully, Lyra still holding his hand as if she refused to let go. The crowd parted as they moved, whispers following behind them. As they left the marketplace, Ravi looked at the young girl beside him. She seemed calm, unafraid, and strangely trusting. He wondered why she had chosen him, of all people, in that moment. He wondered what fate waited for him in the royal court. Behind them, the marketplace slowly returned to life, but the story of the human and the princess's daughter had already begun to spread across the station like fire through dry grass. The royal court of the Viuri was nothing like the busy marketplace. The marketplace had been alive with sound, but the court was built for silence, for judgment, and for power. Tall pillars lined the walls, glowing with soft light. The floor was polished stone, smooth enough to reflect the figures who walked upon it. Banners of silver and blue hung high above, carrying the symbols of the Viuri royal house. Ravi stood in the center of the hall, surrounded by guards. He felt the weight of the room pressing against him. Rows of nobles filled the seats along the sides, their eyes sharp, their whispers sharp as blades. They looked at him with suspicion and, in some cases, open dislike. Humans did not often stand in this place, and when they did, it was rarely as a guest. At the far end of the hall, on a raised throne of crystal and steel, sat Princess Serena. Her posture was tall, her face unreadable, her eyes locked on Ravi as if she could see into his soul. At her side, holding tightly to the armrest of the throne, was the young child Lyra. She looked around the hall with innocent curiosity, but her small hand gripped the throne as firmly as she had gripped Ravi's earlier. The guards moved away, leaving Ravi standing alone. He tried to keep his shoulders straight, but he could feel sweat forming on his forehead. His heart beat quickly, but he reminded himself that he had done nothing wrong. He had only been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Still, the silence of the court was heavy, and every noble seemed eager to hear his fate. Serena raised one hand, and the whispers died instantly. Her voice carried through the hall with calm power. "You stand in the court of the Viuri, human," she said. "My people saw you in the marketplace. They saw you holding the hand of my daughter. Explain yourself." Ravi bowed his head respectfully. "Your Highness," he began. "I did not seek this. I was only walking through the market when your daughter took my hand. I did not know who she was until you arrived." The nobles whispered again, but Serena's gaze silenced them. She leaned forward slightly, her silver crown gleaming under the light. "And why would my daughter reach for you? What reason would she have?" Ravi hesitated. He thought of the moment. He remembered the small tug at his hand, the way Lyra had smiled, the way she had held on as if she trusted him. But he did not know why she had chosen him. He could only answer honestly. "I do not know, Your Highness," he said. "Perhaps she slipped, or perhaps she was frightened. I only wished to make sure she was safe." Before Serena could reply, Lyra's voice rose from the throne. Soft, clear, and simple. "He is kind." The court stirred again. The nobles exchanged looks. Some frowned, others raised their brows. Ravi turned his head slightly, surprised to hear the girl speak so openly. She looked at her mother without fear, her small voice steady. "He helped me," Lyra added. Serina's eyes narrowed, but not in anger. She studied Ravi with more care, as if searching for something hidden beneath his plain human form. Slowly, she leaned back in her throne. "Kindness is not enough," she said. "A man can pretend to be kind while hiding poison in his heart. A man can wear a mask. My people do not judge by words alone. We judge by actions." A noble stood from the side, his robe heavy with golden thread. "Your Highness," he said, his voice carrying pride, "this human should not remain here. He is a danger. No outsider should touch royal blood. Cast him out before his presence dishonors us further." Another noble, an older woman with a thoughtful face, spoke softly from the other side. "Or perhaps, Your Highness, this is fate. The child chose him freely. That cannot be ignored." The hall filled with whispers once more. Some voices supported banishment, others spoke of destiny. Ravi stood still, caught in the storm of judgment, knowing his words would not carry much weight. It was Serina's decision that mattered. Finally, Serina raised her hand again. Silence fell. Her eyes shone with calm authority. "There will be no quick judgment," she declared. "This human will not be cast out yet. He will be tested." The words spread like fire through the court. "A test." The nobles murmured, some pleased, others frustrated. Ravi's stomach tightened. A test meant danger. A test meant his life would be in their hands. Serina's gaze never left him. "You will face the trial of intentions," she said. "It is an ancient path that reveals truth. If your heart is false, the trial will break you. If your heart is true, the trial will show it." Ravi swallowed hard. He wanted to protest, to explain again that he had only been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But he could see in her eyes that there was no escape. The nobles began to leave, their robes sweeping across the polished floor. Guards returned to surround him. Lyra rose from the throne, her small eyes watching him closely. For a moment, she looked almost worried, though she said nothing. Serina stood tall and pointed to the guards. "Take him. Tomorrow, he faces the trial." The hall echoed with her command. Ravi was led away through tall doors, the sound of his footsteps lost in the vast silence. He did not know what kind of trial awaited him, only that it would decide his fate in this alien world. And above all, he could not shake the strange thought that the child had chosen him for a reason he did not yet understand. Ravi spent the night in a quiet chamber deep inside the royal palace. It was not a prison, but it did not feel like freedom either. The walls were carved with glowing patterns, shifting gently like streams of light. A bed of soft crystal was offered to him, along with food he could barely name. Yet Ravi could not sleep. His mind turned again and again to the words of Princess Serina. The trial of intentions. He had never heard of such a thing before. He did not know what kind of challenge it would be. Would it be a test of strength? A battle? A puzzle? The nobles had spoken of it with seriousness, as if it carried great weight in their culture. Whatever it was, his life seemed to depend on it. At dawn, the chamber doors opened, and two guards entered. Their armor gleamed silver, their movements sharp and precise. They did not speak much. One gestured for him to follow. Ravi obeyed, his heart beating fast. They led him through long corridors of the palace. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and the air carried a low hum, as if the building itself was alive. Ravi felt small walking there, as if each step pushed him deeper into a world where he did not belong. Finally, they reached a tall gate made of black stone. It stood at the end of a hall, guarded by carvings of fierce alien creatures with sharp wings and long tails. The gate opened slowly, and light spilled out from the chamber beyond. Inside, nobles filled the seats that circled a large open arena. Their robes shimmered in colors of blue, silver, and gold. The sound of whispers filled the air as Ravi entered. He could feel their eyes upon him, measuring him, doubting him. At the highest seat sat Princess Serena, tall and proud, her face calm but stern. Beside her, little Lyra leaned forward, her bright eyes fixed on Ravi. She seemed almost eager, though her small hands gripped the edge of her seat tightly. Ravi was led to the center of the arena. The floor beneath him shifted with faint light, as if alive with hidden energy. He looked up at Serena, waiting. The princess raised her hand. The hall grew silent. "Human," she said, her voice carrying through the chamber. "Today you face the trial of intentions. This trial is not of strength alone, nor of words, but of truth. It will show who you truly are. If your heart is false, the path will reject you. If your heart is true, it will guide you." Ravi listened carefully, though his fear only grew. He wanted to ask questions, but he knew that would show weakness. So he stayed silent and nodded. Serena lowered her hand, and the floor beneath him began to move. Circles of light spread outward, forming patterns. Slowly, the stone opened to reveal a stairway leading down into darkness. "The maze of shifting walls," Serena said. "That is your trial. You will enter with my daughter. You must guide her safely to the heart of the maze. Only then will the trial be complete." The crowd gasped softly. Ravi looked up in shock. "With your daughter?" he asked before he could stop himself. "Yes," Serena said firmly. "The trial tests not only you but the bond she has chosen with you. She trusts you. Now we will see if you are worthy of that trust." Before Ravi could reply, the little girl walked down from the throne. Guards stepped aside to let her through. Lyra came to stand beside him, her silver eyes bright, her small hand reaching once again for his. Without hesitation, she placed her hand in his palm. Ravi looked down at her. "Do you understand what this is?" he asked softly. Lyra nodded. "I am not afraid," she said. Her calmness surprised him. He drew a deep breath, knowing he had no choice. Together, they stepped toward the stairway. The maze opened before them. The walls were tall and smooth, glowing faintly with shifting patterns. The path stretched forward, but already the walls moved, sliding silently to change the routes. It was alive, a puzzle that never stayed the same. The gates closed behind them with a heavy sound. Ravi's shoulders tensed. There was no turning back. He held Lyra's hand firmly. "Stay close," he told her. "No matter what happens." The child nodded, trusting him completely. They began to walk. At first, the path seemed simple. But soon, the walls moved again, sealing one way and opening another. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, like whispers in the stone. Ravi's heart beat faster, but he forced himself to focus. This is not about strength, he thought. It is about choices. I must think carefully. As they turned a corner, a glowing creature appeared on the path. It had many legs and bright eyes, its body made of shifting light. Lyra gasped but did not let go of his hand. The creature blocked their way, staring at them with alien curiosity. Ravi bent down slowly, keeping Lyra behind him. He did not know if the creature was dangerous, but he knew one thing: showing fear would not help. He placed his free hand on his chest and bowed his head slightly, showing respect. The creature studied him for a long moment. Then it stepped aside, its body fading into the wall like mist. The path ahead opened. Lyra smiled faintly. "You are brave," she whispered. Ravi shook his head. "No," he said softly. "I am careful." "That is different." But inside, he wondered if that was enough. The maze was still shifting, and many more tests awaited them. High above, in the royal court, Serena watched with sharp eyes. The nobles whispered about every step. Some hoped the human would fail. Others waited to see if he could truly guide her daughter through the trial. And so the journey into the heart of the maze began. The maze closed behind Ravi and Lyra with a sound like stone grinding against stone. The tall glowing walls moved slowly, sliding in patterns that seemed alive. Paths opened, then sealed, as if the maze itself wanted to confuse them. The air was cool, and every sound echoed far, making it difficult to tell where anything truly was. Ravi held Lyra's hand firmly. Her small fingers were warm against his palm, and that gave him a little strength. He knew that panic would only lead them deeper into trouble. He needed to stay calm, even though his heart beat hard inside his chest. They walked forward, careful with each step. The path split into 3 directions. One led left, one right, and one forward. The walls shimmered faintly, and strange markings glowed above each path. "What do the symbols mean?" Ravi asked softly. Lyra tilted her head, studying them. "They change," she said. "I do not know what they mean." The walls shifted again, and the markings rearranged. Ravi realized the maze wanted to trick them. It was not about choosing a single correct path but about understanding how the maze moved. He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. Back on Earth, he had loved solving puzzles. They had always been his escape from boredom. Now, that habit might save them. Forward, he decided. They walked ahead. The walls groaned and moved again, but this time Ravi noticed a pattern. Every few moments, the walls shifted in cycles. If he timed their steps carefully, they could pass before the way closed. They moved quickly, weaving through narrow openings before the walls sealed again. Lyra kept up without fear, trusting his lead. Soon, they reached a wider chamber. In the center of the chamber stood a pool of glowing water. The surface shimmered like glass, reflecting strange lights onto the walls. At first it seemed peaceful, but then the water stirred. A figure rose from it, tall and glowing, with no clear face. Its body shimmered like the pool itself. Ravi felt Lyra's hand tighten around his. The figure's voice filled the chamber, though its mouth never moved. "Why do you walk this path, human?" it asked. Ravi swallowed. "Because I was told to," he answered honestly. "This trial is meant to test me." The figure tilted its head. "The maze does not open for those who walk without reason. Tell me, why do you guide the child?" Ravi looked down at Lyra. Her eyes were steady, waiting for him to speak. He thought about lying, but he remembered Serena's words. The trial revealed truth. Lies would only trap him further. "Because she trusts me," Ravi said. "I cannot break that trust. Even if I do not understand why she chose me, I will not let her walk alone." The glowing figure was silent for a moment. Then it sank back into the water and disappeared. The pool stilled, and a new path opened in the far wall. "You did well," Lyra said softly. Ravi exhaled, his shoulders loosening. "Let's keep moving." They entered the new path. The walls grew narrower, and strange sounds echoed around them. Low growls, the scrape of claws, the hiss of unseen creatures. The air grew colder. Then, from the shadows ahead, three shapes crawled forward. They were small but quick, with sharp limbs and glowing eyes. Their bodies looked like stone given life. The creatures hissed, blocking the path. Ravi stepped in front of Lyra. He had no weapon. His fists would be useless against stone creatures. He forced himself to think. The walls shifted again, and he noticed something. Each time the light above flickered, the creatures paused. They moved only when the light was steady. "Stay behind me," he told Lyra. He waited, counting the rhythm of the flickering lights. When the glow dimmed, the creatures froze. In that moment, Ravi pulled Lyra forward, weaving between them. As the light returned, the creatures moved again, but they struck empty air where he had been. Step by step, timing their movements with the flicker of light, Ravi led them safely through. When they reached the other side, the creatures hissed once more before sinking back into the walls. Lyra's eyes were wide with amazement. "You saw the pattern," she said. Ravi nodded, breathing heavily. "Sometimes, the way forward is not strength. It is watching carefully." They continued deeper. The maze seemed endless, its walls always moving. Hours passed, though neither of them could tell how much time had gone by. Ravi grew tired, but he pushed on, knowing that stopping would only trap them. Finally, they reached another chamber. In the center stood a tall pillar of light, rising to the ceiling. The walls moved in circles around it, faster and faster, as if protecting it. "This must be the heart," Ravi whispered. Lyra looked at him with trust shining in her eyes. "Then we must reach it." Ravi studied the walls carefully. They spun like blades, but he noticed gaps between the movements. If he timed it right, they could pass through without being crushed. He crouched to Lyra's level. "Listen to me. We will run together. Do not let go of my hand. No matter what." Lyra nodded firmly. Ravi took a deep breath, watching the rhythm. The walls spun left, then right, then paused for a brief moment. That was their chance. "Now," he said. They ran forward. The walls shifted, sliding past them with heavy force. Ravi pulled Lyra close, weaving through the gaps. The sound was deafening, the air rushing like a storm. One wrong step would mean the end. But Ravi's timing held true. Step by step, they made it through, until they reached the center. The light pillar glowed brighter as they touched it. The wall slowed and finally stilled. A calm voice filled the chamber. "The path has been completed. The truth of the human's heart has been seen." The light faded, and a new passage opened, leading back toward the court. Ravi and Lyra stood together, still holding hands. He looked at her, breathing hard but relieved. "We made it," he said. Lyra smiled. "I knew we would." Ravi and Lyra had barely caught their breath when the walls of the chamber shifted once more. The trial was not over. The air felt heavier, as if the maze itself sensed their success and wanted to challenge them further. Ravi glanced at Lyra. Her silver eyes were bright, but she tightened her grip on his hand, sensing danger before it appeared. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the far side of the chamber. Stones fell from the ceiling, and a group of figures appeared. They were alien warriors, strangers to the trial, moving quickly with weapons drawn. Their armor gleamed darkly, and their eyes were cold. Ravi realized at once that they were not part of the test. Someone had sent them to sabotage the trial. "Stay behind me," Ravi whispered to Lyra. He stepped forward, placing himself between her and the intruders. His heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had no weapon, only his mind and his determination. The lead warrior growled, raising a sharp blade. "The princess will be embarrassed today," he hissed. "The human will fail." Ravi studied the attackers. Their movements were precise, but predictable. He noticed the ground beneath them was uneven, covered in glowing crystals that reflected light. One misstep could cause them to slip or fall. "Lyra, stay low and close to me," he said. "Trust me." The first attacker lunged. Ravi dodged quickly, sidestepping and grabbing a loose crystal from the floor. He swung it carefully, not to harm the alien, but to distract. The attacker stumbled, giving Ravi a brief opening. He guided Lyra past the danger and toward a narrow passage leading deeper into the maze. Two more attackers followed, faster and more aggressive. Ravi's mind worked quickly. He led them toward a section where the walls moved irregularly. As the attackers pursued, the walls shifted, trapping one of them in a small alcove. The alien struggled, unable to escape, while Ravi and Lyra continued forward. Lyra's small voice spoke, calm but firm. "You are brave." Ravi shook his head, keeping his eyes on the path. "I am only careful," he said. "Bravery is what comes when you protect someone who trusts you." The third attacker was closer now. Ravi knew he could not outfight him physically. He looked around and saw a lever attached to a wall. If he pulled it, it would release a barrier, slowing the attacker. He risked it. With a quick motion, he pulled the lever. A section of the floor shifted, and the attacker fell behind a wall of moving stone, unable to follow. Ravi took a deep breath and continued, moving as quickly as the maze allowed. Lyra ran beside him, her trust unwavering. The corridors twisted and turned, walls sliding past them, but Ravi's mind stayed focused. He kept counting the seconds of each shift, timing their movements with precision. Finally, they reached a chamber that seemed to glow with soft, golden light. It was circular, with a high ceiling and smooth walls. In the center, a platform rose slightly, surrounded by light patterns that danced on the floor. "This must be the heart of the trial," Ravi whispered. Lyra nodded. "We are close." But before they could reach the platform, the remaining attacker appeared, blocking the way. His weapon gleamed under the light, and he moved with deadly speed. Ravi's heart raced, but he remembered what he had learned so far: strength alone would not help. He needed intelligence and timing. He looked at the patterns of the light on the floor. Each movement created shadows that could hide them for a moment. Using these, Ravi guided Lyra into a safe spot. Then, with precise steps, he led the attacker into a trap. A section of the floor shifted under him, and the warrior lost balance, falling onto a soft surface that immobilized him without serious harm. Ravi exhaled, feeling a wave of relief. Lyra's small hand squeezed his. "You kept me safe," she said simply. "Yes," he replied. "That is what matters." The golden light on the platform brightened suddenly, and a calm voice echoed in the chamber. "The human has shown courage and wisdom. The heart of the trial is reached. The truth of his intentions is clear." Ravi looked at Lyra. Her eyes were wide with admiration. She had seen him face danger without fear, relying on careful thinking rather than force. For the first time, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had protected her, guided her, and reached the goal of the trial. High above, the royal court watched in silence. Princess Serina's eyes were sharp, but now there was a hint of respect. The nobles murmured, some surprised, some still skeptical. Every step Ravi had taken was a lesson in patience, courage, and intelligence. He had shown them that humans could be more than reckless wanderers. Ravi guided Lyra onto the platform. The walls of the chamber slowed their movements, then stopped entirely. The maze had acknowledged their success. The light around them pulsed gently, bathing them in warmth. Lyra looked up at Ravi and smiled. I knew you would succeed. Ravi smiled back, feeling tired but proud. We succeeded together, he said. Your trust helped me more than anything else. The calm voice spoke once more. The trial is complete. The human has proven his heart is true. Return to the court and be recognized for your courage. Ravi took Lyra's hand again and led her back toward the exit. He knew that the trial had not only tested him, but it had also changed the way the Vyuri would see him forever. Ravi and Lyra stepped out of the maze together. The light from the chamber still glowed softly on their faces, reflecting the triumph of their success. For the first time since the trial began, Ravi allowed himself to feel a small measure of relief. He had guided Lyra safely, faced unexpected dangers, and reached the heart of the trial without harming anyone. The passage led directly back to the royal court. Guards opened the massive doors, and Ravi found himself once again in the presence of Princess Serena and the gathered nobles. The hall was silent, waiting. Every pair of eyes seemed to examine him closely, trying to understand what kind of human could accomplish what he had just done. Lyra's hand remained firmly in his. She stepped forward, smiling proudly. He was brave, she said simply, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. Ravi looked down at her and smiled. We were brave together, he said. Princess Serena leaned forward on her throne. Her expression was calm but her eyes were sharper than ever. She studied Ravi carefully. There was no longer suspicion in her gaze, only observation. For the first time, Ravi felt that she might see him as more than just a reckless human. You have completed the trial of intentions, Serena said. Her voice was steady, echoing through the chamber. Not only have you guided my daughter safely through the maze, but you have faced dangers that were not part of the trial itself. You have protected her without seeking reward. That is the mark of true courage. The nobles murmured among themselves. Some shook their heads, still skeptical, but many leaned forward, their expressions thoughtful. They had never seen a human act in such a way, combining intelligence, patience, and bravery. Ravi bowed deeply. Your Highness, he said. I only did what any friend would do. Lyra trusted me, and I could not let her face danger alone. Lyra smiled and tugged at his hand. He kept me safe, she said again. Even when it was scary. Serena's lips pressed together for a moment. She leaned back slightly, and the faintest trace of a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. It was almost imperceptible, but Ravi noticed. The princess who had glared at him in the marketplace now regarded him with a new respect. You speak honestly, Serena said. Your actions show the same truth. It is rare for outsiders to act without selfish intent. You have proven yourself worthy, at least in this trial. One of the older nobles stood from the side. Your Highness, he said, the human has shown qualities that even some of our own struggle to demonstrate. Perhaps we should reconsider how we view outsiders. Another noble, a younger woman, added, the child's choice was wise. Humans may be unpredictable, but this one has shown patience and courage. That is worth respect. Ravi felt a quiet warmth inside him. Respect from these powerful beings was something he had never imagined he would earn. And yet, it was not just about recognition. It was about trust, about showing that humans could rise to challenges even in an alien world. Serena's gaze softened further. Ravi, she said, using his name for the first time, you have demonstrated that courage is not measured by size, strength, or power alone. It is measured by the heart, and by the willingness to act rightly even when faced with fear. Ravi bowed again, grateful and humbled. Thank you, Your Highness. I will not forget your trust. Lyra tugged gently at his hand, leading him closer to the throne. He helped me, she said, and he did not give up. That is why he is my friend. The princess looked down at her daughter, then back at Ravi. There was a long pause. Finally, she spoke with quiet authority. Your bond with her has been proven. For now, you will remain as a guest of the royal family. We will see how your presence affects our people, and if your actions continue to honor the trust placed in you. Ravi nodded, relieved. I will do my best, Your Highness. The nobles began to relax, murmuring approval. Some were still wary, but most seemed impressed. A few even smiled slightly at Ravi's composure and the child's faith in him. He realized that he had not only passed the trial but had begun to change the way humans were seen in this part of the galaxy. Lyra beamed at him, her hand still holding his. You were brave, she said again, almost proudly. Ravi chuckled softly. I only followed your lead, he replied. Serena's eyes softened further. Perhaps humans are more than I once believed, she said quietly. Perhaps there is hope in their ways. Ravi looked at her with a mix of respect and relief. The glare that had greeted him in the marketplace was gone. In its place was recognition of his courage, his honesty, and his respect for her daughter. For the first time, he felt that he truly belonged, at least for this moment, in the world of the Viuri. The princess leaned back on her throne, and the golden light from the chamber filled the hall. The trial of intentions had ended, and Ravi had proven himself. Yet even as he stood there, holding Lyra's hand, he knew that his journey with the Viuri was only beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more tests of trust and courage, but for now, he had earned their respect and the first bond of friendship with a child of royalty. The sun of the space station glowed faintly through the tall windows of the royal palace. The halls were quiet this morning, but the air still carried the memory of the trial of intentions. Ravi walked beside Lyra, his step steady and calm. The child's hand rested in his, her small fingers curling around his with trust and familiarity. For the first time, Ravi felt a part of this world, even if only a small part. Princess Serena sat on her throne, observing quietly. The nobles had returned to their seats, murmuring about the events of the trial. Some shook their heads in disbelief at a human succeeding where many had doubted him. Others whispered about the courage he had shown, the cleverness of his mind, and the care he had given to her daughter. Ravi bowed slightly before the princess. Your Highness, he said. Thank you for giving me the chance to prove myself. I will not forget the trust you have shown. Serena studied him for a long moment. Her expression was calm, but there was a softness in her gaze that had not been there before. Ravi, she said, using his name with careful respect, you have proven that the heart of a human can be guided by courage and truth. It is rare to see such qualities, even among our own people. Today, you have earned a place among us, at least as a guest and protector of my daughter. Lyra's eyes lit up. She squeezed his hand gently. "You are my friend," she said. "And now, you will stay with us." Ravi smiled. "I will do my best," he said quietly, feeling both honored and humbled. The princess stood and descended from the throne. She approached Ravi slowly, her robes flowing like liquid light. The nobles fell silent, watching the interaction closely. Serena stopped in front of him and inclined her head. "Your actions today have changed how we see humans," she said. "You are clever, brave, and honest. Perhaps there is hope for our worlds to learn from each other. For now, you will remain at the palace as a guest of my family." Ravi bowed again, feeling a deep respect for her. "I will honor that trust, Your Highness," he replied. The nobles began to murmur their approval. Some approached him cautiously, offering words of welcome. Others studied him with curiosity, seeing a human in the royal circle for the first time. Ravi realized that his actions had done more than prove himself to the princess, they had begun to change the way an entire species viewed humans. Lyra tugged at his hand and led him to a large window overlooking the city below. The space station was alive with movement. Ships flew in careful patterns, merchants prepared their stalls, and beings from different planets moved through the streets. Ravi took a deep breath, marveling at the vastness of the world outside. "You are brave," Lyra said again, looking up at him. "You never gave up." Ravi smiled and ruffled her hair gently. "I only did what I had to do. I could not leave you behind." The princess watched them for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "Trust is rare, and it must be earned. Today, you have earned mine, and my daughter's. That is no small achievement." Ravi nodded, humbled. "Thank you, Your Highness. I will not forget this." Lyra ran ahead to explore the palace, her laughter echoing lightly through the halls. Ravi followed, still holding her hand, learning the paths and rooms as they went. The palace was vast and filled with wonders: holographic gardens, rooms that shifted light with every step, and artifacts from planets Ravi had never even heard of. Despite the grandeur, what mattered most was the trust Lyra had shown. She had chosen him, a human, to guide her through danger and uncertainty. That choice had changed everything. Ravi understood now that courage was not about strength alone, but about the willingness to protect and care for others. As the day passed, the court gradually accepted Ravi. Nobles approached him with questions, some cautious, some curious. They asked about Earth, about humans, about the ways he had solved the trial. Ravi answered honestly, showing humility and respect, earning their quiet admiration. Serena finally spoke again in the late afternoon. "The path ahead will not always be simple," she said. "There will be challenges, misunderstandings, and tests. But if you continue to act with honesty and courage, you will always have a place here." Ravi bowed deeply. "I will remember your words, Your Highness. I will do my best to honor your trust." The princess inclined her head and returned to her throne, a small smile on her face. Lyra ran back to Ravi, holding his hand tightly. "Now," she said, "we can explore the palace together." Ravi chuckled softly. "Yes. Together." In that moment, Ravi felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. The trial of intentions had tested him, challenged him, and nearly frightened him. But it had also given him something far greater: trust, respect, and a bond that crossed the boundaries of species. The human and the young Viuri princess walked through the palace halls, hand in hand. Their laughter echoed lightly, a symbol of hope and friendship between two very different worlds. The court watched quietly, realizing that the bond between a human and the princess's daughter could be stronger than suspicion, fear, or prejudice. For Ravi, it was the beginning of a new life, one filled with trust, responsibility, and friendship. He knew that challenges would come, but he also knew that courage and honesty could overcome them. Today, a new chapter had begun, not only for him, but for the Viuri and humans alike. And for the first time, Ravi felt that no matter the distance between worlds, a bond built on trust could last forever.